request that we stand and ask the choir to give us the national anthem. Is the choir ready?
Thank you. May you all rise and be quiet. Nkosi sikele, Nkosi sikele ni Afrika, maliphakanyisu bondo layo, izwa imithandazo yethu, Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo, murena buluka sitshaba sa Yesu, ufedise dintwali matshwenye, usibuluke, usibuluke sitshaba sa Yesu, sitshaba sa South Africa, South Africa. Hey, de blå van ons himmel, hey, die diepte van ons ons weggegeven voor de kranse antwoord geeft. Son to come together, and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa.
Thank you very much to the choir, and thanks very much to all of you. My name is Phil Mjwaha. I'm Director General of the Department of Science and Innovation. I will be trying to guide this program in the next hour and a half. We were supposed to stand and give a moment of silence and a moment of prayer for those who would like to pray, but I see you sitting down, so I can't ask you to stand up again. We will have the choir coming back later. They have promised us that they will render a couple of items for us. And thanks, Pinky, for leading the choir. We really appreciate this. So, we are supposed to get a briefing, safety briefing. I hope Le Hlohonolo is here, just in case something happens, which we hope is not going to happen, and then we'll start with the program.
Sambanan. How? Sambanan. sanibonani. Uthi khona lo olapho ngafuna ukukhuluma ngimiyeke uzokhuluma masesiqedile. Program Director, with due respect to you, sir, all protocols observed in the house. My job is very simple, but very important. The name is Lehlohonolo Mokhohlolwane, it's my surname. My work here is a safety officer. So I'm here to give you the protocols in case of any emergency in this particular building where we are today. Firstly, let me identify to you, there are 2 doors right behind me in case of any emergency. All our VIPs will have to go forward to my right and to my left. We will open the doors for them. And then for our guests and students and scholars, we have 2 doors on my left and on my right, in the middle of the hall. And then for those at the back, you'll have to walk at that side. I will make sure that there is no distractions for us to move outside. And then those that are going that way, we will assemble in the car park. Those who will be going on my left and right hand side this way, we will have to go through the park on this other side where the marquee is. But in case there is an emergency in the marquee as well, then we'll have to vacate the marquee and go to the sports ground, which is where we will be assembling, so that we'll be addressed as to what to do next. And the last thing I want to say is, in case anyone doesn't feel well, we have the emergency medical services on board. Just raise your hand or touch any of the ushers that are around to alert us so that you can get the medical attention you need. Other than that, we are organizing the water stations, and so that every one of you can have the water as you're here, you can hydrate enough. And then for restrooms, we have 2 sets of restrooms. In fact, there are 3. On my left to your right, the very first door as you walk outside the door, you will see the ladies' restrooms with those that are wheelchair bound. They will use the room next door. And then for young boys and men, you will then go behind, walk down, you'll find your restroom on the other side. Same way, this way again, we have the restrooms that are just nearby here when you go out. The ladies and those that are wheelchair bound will use these ones, and then the gentlemen will then go behind. That is where they will find their restroom. So as you enjoy your day today, God richly bless you. I thank you.
Thanks very much, Lehlohonolo, for that. We host this Science Week every year around about this time of the year. I'll come back to what are we trying to do. But when we host the National Science Week, we host it in partnership with the province where the Science Week is being launched. So of course, because we are in KZN, we are in partnership with the Premier's office, and they are represented here this morning. We also work fairly closely with the Provincial Department of Education. They are also well represented here this morning, and we are grateful for the partnership we have had with them. I'll give you the names later on. We also work fairly closely with an institution that then hosts us. So today we are here at Mangosuthu University of Technology. So we've worked fairly closely with them in preparing for this event. So I'd like to ask that we give them a round of applause for an excellent putting together of the event here that you see, but also for those of you who've had the opportunity to go to the exhibition. You will already be very impressed with what you have seen or you will see for those of you who have not been there already. I've had a chance to do a walkabout, and I would encourage all of you to please, even after this event, to go and see the exhibitions. What that means is that we need to also acknowledge and appreciate the exhibitors. And they come from all over the country, and we would like to thank the National Research Foundation under the leadership of the CEO who I saw earlier on, Dr. Nello Mondo, and his entire team to assist us in bringing together all of the exhibitors. We also like to express our sincere thanks upfront to the institutions that we work with in the National System of Innovation. Again, you will see all of them, universities that have agreed to spend time with us with the exhibition. Not only are they coming from our institutions, we also have some science centers in certain provinces that have also agreed to be with us this morning. You probably saw the Vuwani Science Center from Limpopo. We've also seen the one from Nelson Mandela Bay and others, and we're extremely grateful to them for coming to us and support us. And I'd like to single out also something that we are very proud of, the Republic of Kenya. They have been attending this Science Week launch for almost 5 years now, and again, where is our friend from Kenya? Is he not here? Yep. So round of applause for our Kenyan colleague. And the other exhibitors. We have a great partnership with them. When they host their Science Week launch, they invite us and we spend time in Kenya. So really, truly African partnership. So I will come back to the names, but why are we here then? We are here for 3 reasons. The first is to launch the Science Week. Our Science Week means it's a week, 7 days of activities. You'll wonder whether we will be here for 7 weeks. I'm not intending to keep you here for 7 days. But the idea is that all over the country, there are activities in different provinces and different regions to celebrate science during this week and to showcase what science, technology, and innovation do in our daily lives. So we launch it here in KZN, but please remember, if you're not from KZN, in other regions we have arrangements with the provinces to celebrate the Science Week. But why do we do this? For 2 reasons. The first reason is that we believe that we live in a world that is changing and a world that is driven by science, technology, and innovation. I've just had an interview in Ukoze, and they say, what does that mean? It means that when you wake up in the morning and you put a toothbrush, I hope you do, in the morning, it's chemistry and the use of fluoride to clean whatever you have in your teeth. So the first thing you do, whether it's water or whether you clean your teeth, it's about science. When you get into your car to go to work, if you do go to work, or if you open your computer, it's driven by a transistor, it's about science. Yeah? So when you put on your glasses to see because you don't see with them, it's because we know in optics that we have to correct a defect in your eye. It's about science. So I can't think of anything that you do in your daily life that is not about science. So we therefore want to remind society as a whole that unless we invest in science, unless we are a science, technology, and innovation aware nation, we will not get anywhere. I can't talk about the 4th Industrial Revolution and what it's going to do to our lives and what it's already doing in our lives. So it's the importance of science. But for that science to be done, you need human beings. Unless we have human beings who have these ideas, who do research, you will not be able to have all of these wonderful things that we celebrate on a daily basis. And therefore, we need the youngsters around the room to then follow their careers in science and to know that science is important in their daily lives. So we hope that 90% of you young people sitting here, after you've been to the exhibitions, you will come to us in the department and Department of Basic Education and the Provincial Department of Education and say, I'm converted, I want to be a scientist. Is that a deal? And I heard some of the young people coming from the exhibition and say it was not enough, we want to go back. We were very happy to hear that, and we hope that you will go back so that you'll be excited about the science. So that's the first thing, to really create awareness about science, technology, and innovation. The second one is that we are celebrating this week under a theme called the role of basic sciences in modern world. This is a theme that was suggested by the UNESCO in Paris to celebrate this year as the Year of Basic Sciences. So as part of the global community, we've also then chose that theme. And again, as I was in the small car, of course, they asked me, what does basic science mean? It means mathematics, it means physical science, it means chemistry, and it means biology. I don't know how many of you are aware that the vaccine, especially the Pfizer one, that we've been vaccinated with, is as a result of people in the biological sciences that were trying to look at how you can cure cancer with the scientists from Hungary and ultimately a company in Germany and then of course Pfizer that then developed the Pfizer vaccine. So the basic sciences are very, very important. I've already talked about the role of chemistry in our lives, whether it's water purification, whether it's oil, or whether it's fertilizer. So it's basic science underpinning all of those applications is chemistry. The chip transistor in your cell phone comes from physics. So the importance of these basic sciences, therefore, are very, 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 very obvious in our lives, and therefore we need to celebrate and continue not to only focus on the sexy applications of science, but also to make sure that the basic sciences and the foundational sciences are also supported and that the young people do get into these sciences. So I hope you have a sense of why we are here, and I hope you have a context why we are celebrating this under this theme. So I'll come back to acknowledge the range of people that we have here, but I'd like to move the program a little bit and ask Dr. Manyane Makua, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor from the Mangosuthu University of Technology, to come forward and give us welcoming remarks. We apologize that we already feel comfortable and welcome before you welcomed us, but now you have an opportunity to do so. Please come forward, sir. A round of applause.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Sambonani. Thank you, Mphathi Wehlelo, for your opening remarks. We appreciate being reminded about the importance of even the very small things that we do on a daily basis, which we don't attach so much significance, and yet they define our daily lives. I have been requested by the acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Ramkhale, to stand in for him because he's attending a family commitment today. So I will be very brief with my remarks so that I will enable the program to unfold as planned. Program Director, Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, Dr. Blade Nzimande in absentia, who will join us very soon, and all dignitaries who are here this morning, students, parents, sponsors, exhibitors, MUT staff, I welcome you all this morning. It is a singularly proud moment for me to welcome all of you on this important day at MUT. When I was approached by Professor Msomi a few months ago, indicating that there is a proposal to host this event at MUT, I literally jumped at the prospect of us hosting this event at Umlazi. I made sure that I attended the first meeting of the task team and committed MUT to cooperating at all levels to ensure that this event is a success. And I hope the team received the support it needed throughout all the stages of planning. And judging by what I see in and outside, I'm convinced that that is the case. By now, ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that we are familiar with the resolution adopted by UNESCO, the UNESCO General Assembly, declaring 2022 the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development. This is an acknowledgement of the significance of basic sciences in sustainable development and our daily lives, as alluded to by the program director. For us, at various fronts, we are confronted with the challenges of dealing with negative attitudes towards sciences and the creation of enabling learning spaces and environments, intensifying the training of teachers, the provision of resources and infrastructure to ensure that sciences are a success in our education system. Those of us at the coalface of the basic and higher education agenda understand better the challenges we face in getting our students to register for sciences. We cannot and should not throw in the towel. We do need, however, to adopt an intentional disposition with a clear vision on how we can deal with these challenges beyond rhetoric. I am sure that many of us gathered here today have the agenda in mind that the activities that will unfold beyond today will add to the realization of these goals and vision. We need to be intentional about this so that we implement clear goals that will assist us to achieve this agenda. I wish you, ladies and gentlemen, a very productive day today. Re a lamogela, se a namogela, feel welcome at MUT, and God bless you.
Siyabonga kakhulu, Dr. Makua, for the lovely message of welcoming us, and now we can roll over the floor and show that we are really feeling welcome. Again, I indicated to you earlier on that I'd like to acknowledge maybe a few people, so allow me then to also acknowledge Nkosi Cele. Isizwe Sakacele, I think, is the one that is responsible for us to be in this building. They offered the land in which we are. So I'm not so sure if he or The representative from the Kele family is here? No? Okay. We also, as I indicated earlier on, the KwaZulu-Natal Basic Education DDG for Curriculum Management and Delivery, Dr. Panim Tembu, I think he is here. Shall we acknowledge Dr. Tembu? Thank you very much. We already have the executive of MUT. We know that Professor Matabeng Ramokali could not join us, but we've just heard the words of welcome by Dr. Mnyane Makua, who has delivered the word of welcome. We also have the representative from the Premier's office who could not join us this morning, and thanks to Mr. Nhlanhla Ngidi, who is representing the office of the Premier as an advisor to the Premier. Thank you very much, sir. And then Basic Education, KZN MEC in absentia, he was going to give the vote of thanks earlier. The representative of the Executive Mayor, Mr. Mkolisi Kawunda, who also cannot be here. The NRF CEO, Professor Fulfelo Nelomondo, as I indicated, with his entire team. Dr. Mamuletsi Mosia, the Managing Director of SASTA, Mr. Akim Teto, Director MST, and Rene Peter Masoon. I'd like him to stand up. He's just introduced himself to me. He is a NASA Space Application Local Lead South African Ambassador. Welcome, sir. I don't know what a Space Application Local Lead Ambassador means, but it seems like a very important person, and we know that you work fairly closely with our space agency here in South Africa. And then we did acknowledge the presence of Kenya and counterparts of the NSI. And then I'm not traveling alone as a DG. I'm joined by a number of executives of the Department of Science and Innovation and officials who you have met. We've already expressed our sincere thanks to 76 in total exhibitors that are supporting us in today's event. And life science centers, higher education institutions, science councils, other government departments. We saw forestry, fisheries, environment, private sector companies, other government agencies and other entities. We really acknowledge all of you and express our sincere thanks to you. So what I'd like to do now is to request the representative from the mayor's office, if he could come forward and give the message from the mayor's office. Dr. Mtembu. You're confusing me. Is it basic education, Dr. Mtembu? Okay. All right, Dr. Mtembu, please come forward from the Basic Education Department. A round of applause for him.
Thank you, Program Director. You know the mayor. I'm not the mayor, but I'm representing the office in this occasion. And let me first greet the Department of Science and Technology, the DG, the officials, and everyone, the office of the Premier, the executive of Mangosuthu University of Technology, the stakeholders, the academics who are in this occasion, the partners in both basic education and higher education, the teachers, the learners, the well-wishers, the exhibitors, and mainly the future of our country, the learners who are in this occasion. Program Director, the launch of the Science Week means a lot for us, not only as KwaZulu-Natal, but as South Africans. It's about the importance of science and mainly basic sciences in our daily lives and in our societies. In South Africa, we have a clear understanding of what to achieve by 2030 in our National Development Plan. The National Development Plan of Vision 2030 is clear about issues of sciences and technology. There are targets that we need to reach in as far as the number of learners performing very well in mathematics and science. We are clear about the percentage of technicians that we need to produce by 2030. And there is also clarity about the number of engineers and other science-related careers that we need to create as a country by 2030. Now, if you look at 2030, that's a long-term kind of a period. But from where we started, events like the Science Week keeps on reminding us about the ambitions that we have about the role of science in our society. The figures I'm talking about, the percentage of what and what, are not only an end, but they are a means to an end. We also want to say that our departments of education should make it a point that the classroom becomes a centerpiece of excellence. But more than that, the classroom should become a centerpiece of excellence in mathematics and science, so that our country produce people who are going to take us forward. We need to start from somewhere, and the starting point is the classroom, where our children should be encouraged, supported, and assisted to be part of many fields of science. We need to have an anti-Verwoerdian approach. An anti-Verwoerdian approach is an approach which says that even black children or African children can participate and can graze in the fields of science. That will encourage us to encourage our children so that they do better. We look at the launch as a launch of emphasis, where we focus mainly on issues of science within the sphere of education. We do want to say that we want to create a capable state, not a state with capacity. You need capacity, but you also need capability. And science will play a very, very important role in making us a capable state. It's very important, Program Director, for me to say that the exhibitions out here will encourage our children, encourage our society to understand that creation and innovation are part and parcel of the changing society. Therefore, we do want to change our country, to change our people, to change the mindset so that we move away from being consumers of knowledge to producers of knowledge, so that we shift from being consumers of commodities and become producers of commodities, so that we create a paradigm shift from consumers of scientific breakthroughs, but to innovators of scientific breakthroughs. Therefore, Program Director, ladies and gentlemen, we want to say that the Science Week here is going to help all of us and also open our eyes so that we understand the role of basic sciences and not end there, but also participate in using basic sciences to change the society and to make our lives easy. Thank you, Chairperson. The Program Director.
Thanks very much, Dr. Mtembu, for sharing with us the vision of the province and how you intend to up the numbers, but also to create those young people and innovators that we desperately need to transform our lives and our economy. I'm not so sure whether the choir is ready to warm us up. I feel like you are still feeling cold. Let's see whether the choir will warm us up before we move to the next two items. You can still give them a warm round of applause to encourage them. Thank you. Thank you very much to the choir. I suspect they are still coming back. Ngiyambona Pinky, Mrs. Khosi, uyahleka uthi anazi ukuthi kusezani after this. We sincerely apologize that our minister could not join us this morning. He is called to an event in Gauteng. So, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to play a video, followed by something very exciting. A learner from Gelosi Primary School here in Umlazi, who is part of a ministerial special project on coding and robotics. Again, you'll hear very exciting testimony on how young people can do things that we need in this country. So we'll start with the video,
and then we will immediately then call Ms. Nogwazi Mpele to come forward. So can we play the video, please?
Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda, Executive Mayor of the eThekwini Metropolitan Municipality, Dr. Philip Mjwara, Director General of Science and Innovation, Professor Matabeng Marcus Ramukhale, Education, learners, students, educators, parents and members of the media, ladies and gentlemen,
Councillor
I
Mxolisi
greet you all.
Kaunda, Executive
It
Mayor
gives me
of the
great pleasure
eThekwini
to address the
Metropolitan
launch of
Municipality,
National Science Week
Dr. Philip
2022.
Mjwara, Director
Although
General
I'm
of
unable
Science and
to attend in
Innovation,
person, I'm happy
Professor
that once again
Matabeng Marcus
it is possible to
Ramukhale,
gather together at a
Acting Vice
physical event to celebrate science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and innovation, STEMI as we call it, in our daily lives. This year, we host the National Science Week under the United Nations theme, Celebrating the Role of Basic Sciences in the Modern World. The National Science Week is a mass participation initiative within the context of the science engagement strategy of our department, and its objectives are the following. To popularize science to the broader South African society, including demystifying science and promoting science literacy. To serve as a vehicle for showcasing local innovations in science and technology and the leadership role of our Department of Science and Innovation and other government departments in enabling research, development, and innovation. The other objective of the Science Week is to make science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and innovation appealing to learners such that they consider science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and innovation sphere as preferable career options, and to familiarize targeted participants with the science linked to areas in which South Africa has knowledge and or geographic advantage, so as to contribute in making them informed and critically engaged citizens. In South Africa and throughout the world, we all experience the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, becoming sick ourselves or losing loved ones, or suffering the economic consequences of all of these three. It is therefore important to highlight that our responses to the pandemic were directly informed by science, technology, and innovation. South Africa, through the KwaZulu-Natal Research, Innovation, and Sequencing Platform, which we call CRISP in short, identified the coronavirus beta variant. The CRISP team's genome sequencing demonstrated South Africa's leadership in this area on a world stage and contributed to the understanding of emerging variants and their effect on the efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines. This work informed government decision-making on which vaccines to procure, the genomic surveillance becoming a critical component of a targeted response to the epidemic throughout the country. CRISP research has been used to inform the planning and responses of other countries too. Indeed, our scientists and researchers worked hard and with determination to find out what COVID-19 was, how it was transmitted, and how we could slow down its spread in our communities. Based on what they learned, we wore masks and washed our hands. As scientists learned more, we increased the social distancing from 1 meter to 2 and started focusing on ventilation. It is science, technology, and innovation that enabled us to monitor where the virus was spreading and how it was changing. Mathematical modeling also enabled us to make predictions we could use in planning. Additive manufacturing enabled us to produce face shields. Genomic sequencing enabled us to identify new variants, and so on. As researchers worked together and shared knowledge on a global scale, we eventually developed vaccines that helped to slow the spread of the virus and reduce its most severe effects. We were vaccinated, we became more resistant, our health services were no longer overwhelmed. While COVID-19 has not disappeared, we were able to move forward. All these were made possible by science. Thanks to science and all our scientists that we can once again attend school and church, attend sports events, and gather at a physical event to launch National Science Week as we are doing today. Government's previous investments in science, skills, and infrastructure, laboratories for instance, and high-performance computing, enabled South Africa to respond to the COVID-19 crisis and make a global contribution by detecting new variants. Within the World Health Organization's mRNA Technology Transfer Hub in the Western Cape, we are building capacity to manufacture vaccines locally, not only for ourselves, but for the rest of the African continent. Science can also help us to plan for and mitigate the devastating effects of climate change, like the recent devastating floods in KwaZulu-Natal, where we are holding the launch today, in which unfortunately lives were lost, homes and schools and businesses destroyed. The Department of Science and Innovation is ready to support, I'm pleased to say, local municipalities in the province through the work of our entities like the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research and the South African National Space Agency, as well as through local innovation projects under the district development model. I want to remind you, especially the learners here, that to tackle climate change and rebuild our economy after COVID-19, we need scientists, technologists, engineers, mathematicians, and innovators. The government will continue to invest in the future, but we need young people like yourselves to work hard at maths and science at school so you can become the next generation to take up this important work. Mathematics and science are not impossible subjects, and you must not fear them. I urge the learners and everyone attending the launch to visit all the exhibitions and engage with exhibitors on the work they are displaying. Science is about curiosity, to ask questions. Find out what subjects you need for careers in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and innovation. The South African public will be able to participate in a number of National Science Week programs taking place from the 1st to the 6th of August across our country. The department and its entities, particularly the South African Agency for Science and Technology Advancement, have organized activities at universities, libraries, museums, zoological societies, and science centers. A number of events have also been organized online, like this launch event, which is being live streamed. I want to thank the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Government, the eThekwini Municipality, and the Mangosuthu University of Technology for supporting this important national science engagement initiative. I have no doubt that this year's Focus Week, like others before, will be a huge success. I thank you.
Thanks very much. You probably
was wondering what was happening here. We are too fast for the live streaming, so they had to allow the message of the minister to be part of the live streaming. But we are now ready to proceed with the program. Nokwazi ukhona? All right. So we need to give her a warm round of applause as she comes to the stage. So this is a learner from Gelosi Primary School here in Umlazi, and is involved in the ministerial project on coding and the robotics program. So we look forward to hearing all about this from the learner herself. Njani sis? Nkhona. Awuthukanga kakhulu. Njengoba ekushayela izandla kanje, you have no reason to be scared. All right. You want me to hold the microphone for you? Okay. So I'm holding the microphone.
Greetings to you all. My name is Nogwazi Mpele. I am doing grade 7 and I'm 12 years old. I come from Gilosi Primary School in Umlazi. My school, Gilosi Primary School, has been honored to benefit from the minister's special project. I am confident that by saying this, I speak for all the other schools as well, namely as Asitutuge Combined School, Jabula Combined School, Crystal Springs Primary School. My schoolmates and I felt privileged to be selected to participate in the program. We learned a lot during the program since it started last year. For the past year, Tuesdays have been very special days because there were days of fun and of learning new things. We learned about computers and the different types of computers that we find around us. I did not know that there were so many computers we come across in our daily lives. I'm talking about ATMs, tills at the shops, and even smartphones and tablets. We learned that computers have features similar to humans. They have brains much like human beings, but they are called processors. They have input devices that send information to the brain, just like the senses of smell. But who knows what we can invent in the future? In the program, we learned about coding, creating algorithms, which are step-by-step instructions to complete a task. We learned how to find errors in our code and remove them. This is called debugging. We learned how to shorten our code and make it work faster by using repeat statements and many other tricks in coding. We learned how to create stories using Scratch Junior. We also learned how robots work. By robots, I don't mean the red, yellow, and green colored lights in our streets. We learned about how computers drive a lot of things that we use every day and how those things work. We learned about invention and innovation and how to build robotic models that help us understand how things work and models of systems that can solve problems in the world. The models we build range from parking lot systems, railway crossing systems, obstacle avoiding car, can picking robots, robotic arms, automatic doors, and many more. We learned about AI, also known as artificial intelligence, and how it is used to teach robots to learn the new things about the environments they are used in. We taught a robot that can clean the ocean, how to identify sea creatures and separate them from litter. By doing that, the robot can then remove litter from our oceans, dams, and rivers. I often hear people saying technology is coming to take away people's jobs. But I think with programs like these, We are getting prepared for high-demand jobs of the future. With all this information I have gained, I am eager to look at problems in our society and find ways to use technology to solve them. Through the program, we have also learned a lot of social skills. We did a lot of teamwork and got to know more about each other and to become more confident. We are also learning how to communicate better, because when you make one mistake in coding, the problem will not be solved. You have to be patient and persistent when debugging, and these are other soft skills that we have learned. As Ms. Senele tells us, we are the problem solvers that the world is waiting for. I am grateful that I was selected to participate in the program, and I cannot wait to share with my friends all the knowledge I have. I know this is only the beginning, and we still have a lot more to learn, but we are enjoying the journey. On behalf of my peers, I would like to thank the Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Blade Nzimande, for having a special interest in primary schools development. Mangosuthu University of Technology for bringing the program to us. And Ms. Senele for her passion and patience with us. Thank you.
Well done, well done. Another round of applause for well, there's nothing for me to say except to say the future is bright for South Africa, and well done to KZN Mangosuthu, and of course we appreciate the Minister for having this special project. I'd like now maybe to move to Dr. Njabulo Joyful Komede, who is a senior lecturer in organic chemistry here at Mangosuthu University of Technology. Is a former student here who will share with us the application of chemistry in the modern world. A round of applause for Dr. Njabulo. And after him, I will check if the choir is ready for another item, maybe two at this stage after the intervention by Dr. Njabulo. Over to you, sir.
Esteemed guests, Program Director, DDG from the Department of Science and Technology, the Office of the Premier, the Office of the Department of Basic Education, all the dignitaries, I greet you all. Today, I'm privileged to present the paper entitled Translational Basic Science to Address Sustainable Development Goals in the Age of Fourth Industrial Revolution. So, focusing on designing synthetically aware chemical matter using molecular modeling and machine learning approaches. So, the overarching aim of my research is to find synergy between computational chemistry as well as bioanalytical chemistry in order to translate the work from the silicon chip to the laboratory and from the laboratory to the bedside. So basically the main idea is to foster precision medicine. So the policies that are aligned to my research, more importantly, is the Sustainable Development Goals, namely Goal 3 as well as Goal 4, because prostate cancer and breast cancer are important in our society because they are a menace to the society. And also the goals of the white paper that was approved in 2019 talks to this as well. So a little bit of some background on the work that I'm doing. So prostate cancer developed in the normal prostate cells. Then what happens is that the interconversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone is facilitated by 5-alpha reductase enzyme, which then binds with the androgen receptor. So the androgen receptor ligand binding domain is facilitated by heat shock protein, which undergoes a conformational changes that is facilitated by the protein-protein interaction. Then after that, the androgen receptor dimerizes in the nucleus, and then it is transferred into the DNA and then binds with the DNA. After binding with the DNA, the co-activators activate the androgen receptor for cell growth, as well as for the survival of the prostate cancer. Now, what happens here is that the anti-androgens inhibitors target the ligand binding domain. This domain is susceptible to mutations, which then renders therapeutics ineffective. However, though, there's a region here which is referred as the PF3 region for allosteric interaction of these co-activators. Now, what happens here is that once the therapy is bound to the active site, the H12 helix undergoes a conformational change, which then increases prostate cancer. The other challenge is because of missense mutations. Most importantly, at this moment, it leads to enzalutamide resistance and also ARV7 splice variation, which loses the ligand binding domain, which then renders all the therapeutic intervention ineffective after 2 or 3 years of therapy. This is an unmet medical need. And just to explain a little bit about how prostate cancer progresses to other parts of the body, they metastasize because of metastatic hormone-sensitive prostate cancer, metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer, and non-metastasis castration-resistant prostate cancer. So this is a global problem that needs some efforts from all scientists, from chemists, medicinal chemists, as well as pharmacologists. Now, I've been very fortunate to receive funding from NRF to be relieved from my lecturing load to undertake my postdoctoral work at the Center for Cancer Research in Italy under the supervision of Dr. Alfredo Butlon in 2019 before COVID-19. And I'm also working with a scientist from Atomwise, a machine learning startup company from the USA. Now, what we have done is that we traversed the chemical space by screening a database of more than 10 million drug-like compounds targeting the allosteric binding site with an aim to get a compound that is going to bind with high affinity. Now, what we have done here is that we used a deep learning neural network approach, which is similar to facial recognition. But here we are focusing on chemicals. Now, the functional groups that are present in these libraries of compounds are clustered, and then the machine learning approach learns the way in which the molecules bind to the target receptor, and then molecules with higher binding affinities are then filtered and then selected for further analysis. Furthermore, in Italy, I managed to work in a highly specialized laboratory with some state-of-the-art equipment. And then we designed a method. Now, what is more interesting here is that it was the first time that they use this facility for high-throughput screening. So, on my return back to South Africa after developing the method, we then designed the experiment because now we had an idea of what is going to happen. And then after that, we screened those compounds that we selected virtually. And then after that, we tested them at 10 micromolar concentration, which is a one short experiment in order to filter compounds that have high specificity to hormone-sensitive cell lines, androgen receptor mutants, as well as IR null mutants, cell lines. And also to filter compounds that have higher specificity to healthy cell lines because they are toxic. After that, we then selected the compounds for further screening. Now, the experimental pharmacologist selected some of their compounds, and then on top of those compounds, I also selected some of the compounds using my medicinal chemistry experience. And then we combined all the compounds, and then we developed the methodology for a dose response experiment. Now, the experimental design was performed, and then we performed the experiments, but then before the experiments were performed, what we did some internal quality parameters for reproducibility and repeatability of our study. Now, what we did here is that we look at various cell lines, right, that are more specific to castration-resistant prostate cancer, and also to the cell lines that are derived from the bone metastasis, as well as the LNCAP wild-type cell lines. What is more interesting here is that our compounds are more specific towards the resistant cell lines with an IC50 values that is less than 15 micromolar, while compounds that are already in the clinic are resistant, the cell lines are resistant to them, of which we expected this. However, though, all our compounds, rather, most of our compounds are more specific towards the wild type. However, though, what we need to do now is to traverse the chemical space and optimize the highly active compound so that we optimize it to such an extent that it does not kill the normal prostate cells for efficacy. So these are just dose response curves that we use to calculate the inhibition constant. Now, the most important point of my presentation is to talk about the money that has been spent on this research. We have spent almost about 1.5 million rand to perform molecular modeling and purchasing licenses, and also performing the bioassay as well as synthesis. Now, between 2021 and 2023 now, we are at a process whereby we want to do lead optimization, because now CSIR or rather CHPC does not offer the premium software licenses that we use for this particular task for lead optimization. We are going to now purchase those premium software and also optimize the leads and then resynthesize them and perform some in vitro screening. Now, the experiments that will be included here will be to determine the efficacy of the compounds and also to determine whether the compounds are able to be efficacious in xenograft in vivo experiments. And then after that, we will do IP protection. We are more experienced in this space because I have a patent that has been granted this year. And then we will further on move on to IND registration. Now, this is the first of its kind at MUT. We applied for the patent in 2018, and then it was published in 2020 in the United States of America. And also, this patent has been granted in China, as well as here in South Africa. Therefore, the work that has been done is very impactful because the patenting process takes about 7 years, and then the examination process is very gruesome to such an extent that you need to know your story when you respond to the office actions. The work that I've performed has also been published in reputable journals with the work that I've done with some other colleagues from overseas and here in South Africa, including my former PhD supervisor, Professor K.P. Sethi from DUT. And also, the students that I'm co-supervising at University of Limpopo have graduated, and we have published 2 of those papers last year. And then we also published some papers with other collaborators from here in South Africa, as well as my colleague who is my dean, Professor Kupusami. We worked on the phenolic acids. So this work has been very impactful. I would like to also acknowledge the following entities from the National System of Innovation for their support in various ways. Lastly, I would like to talk to students. Students, or learners in particular, because I have my students on my right, as well as the learners. So, learners, success and failure is a flip side of the same coin. You need to decide on the side of the coin that you want to be. These are the words that I was given by Dr. Sagrado from the University of Valencia when I started my research intervals with him. So I'm leaving you with this message as well. Thank you very much.
Hello? Okay, that's fine. I've just asked Dr. Kumede to stay a little longer. As I just wanted maybe to ask 2 questions. Uzalelwe kuphi ne? Okay, so he says he comes from Potchefstroom, egama lakhe. And then the research that you've done Was it done here at Mangosuthu University of Technology after your postdoc? This is incredible, ne? I'm asking this question because I suspect you have a number of people who might be interested in talking to you, even from the department. I suspect the NRF, did you say you need more money? I see Dr. Nelwa Mondo there, he's laughing. He thinks the money you need to complete this wonderful work in cancer and precision medicine is nothing. He's nodding, yeah? So well done, and really, really a good inspiration. Good inspiration to the young ones that you can be born in KZN, in the rural parts of KZN, do your PhD studies, go overseas and do a postdoc, and start to solve a cancer problem which is global, but identifying with the techniques that are all in South Africa, by the way. Center for High Performance Computing, the molecular modeling that you've done, and all of the studies that you intend to do in clinical trials, all of this in South Africa. So you don't have always to go away, but well done to you, and thanks to the university for sharing this with us. So we agreed that the choir will warm us up even more by 2 songs, and then we'll have 2 items towards closing. appreciate this. So at the beginning, I acknowledged Inkosi Ucele, who at that time was not with us. I'm elated that he has now joined us. So Baba Ucele, siyabonga ukuthi usijoyine, sizwile ukuthi le ndawo esikuyo namhlanje, it's through the generosity of the Cele family. So siyabonga kakhulu, and thank you very much. A round of applause then for Baba Cele. And then just one short announcement. Dr. Nkabinde, I hope you are here in the room. There is a request from Ukoki that you meet her as you go outside on my left, on your right. There's an urgent matter she would like you to address, Dr. Nkabinde. So we are almost at the end of the formal program. I will now request Professor Akash Anandraj. He is a director of the Center for Algal Biotechnology here at Mangosuthu University of Technology. He's going to share with us milestones and cutting-edge research that is done at the university. You've already had a sense of the work that the university is doing from Dr. Kumede. So a round of applause, Professor Akash.
Here's the pointer. That's the point. That's the next slide. If you are going. Okay, right. Pointer, you say? Pointer. Okay.
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, our Honorable Minister, Dr. Bladin Zimande in absentia, our VIPs from all departments of the government, our fellow colleagues, our executive committee, learners and teachers. A very warm welcome to you. And today I want to take you through some of the research that we have done at MUT. And my presentation today is twofold. Firstly, it is to showcase the work that we have done at MUT in terms of research. And secondly, it is to inspire our young learners as to what we can do here at MUT. And I hope your career includes us. And science and technology is the future. So, some of the milestones. What did we accomplish here at MUT, at the Center of Algal Biotechnology, and in the faculty itself? In 2009, the research center was approved by council. It was the first research center at the university. And further on, in a few years, we had some funding. And very importantly, this funding came from the office of the minister, Dr. Bladin Zimande, and we put up a new laboratory. What we have done from 29 to 2022 highlights some breakthrough science. Breakthrough in terms of not accomplished, not produced by any other institution in the country. We were looking for energy that can be produced by organisms, living organisms. And in 2011, we received an 8 million rand grant together with the CSIR and other institutions, and researched all natural habitats for algae. But this algae had to be special. It had to have a lot of oil. And we were able to find this type of algae in the Eastern Cape.
and we were able to grow it with sufficient oil. Why is this oil valuable? Because we were able to produce biodiesel, a fuel that can be manufactured, that is used on the farms, in cars, trucks, heavy machinery, and it's a natural source. So the breakthrough came when in 2012 the biodiesel was produced, it was tested, and we found it to be of high quality and equivalent to commercial biodiesel. In 2013, another unique breakthrough was to produce hydrogen. Hydrogen is now the new energy source. But in 2013, we already were ahead of the country and the world, and we produced this hydrogen from microalgae, another breakthrough. In 2014, we were able to use this hydrogen to generate electricity, and that itself was an accomplishment where you are taking a biological source, a natural source, and producing electricity from it. In 2015, we had a PhD student, Dr. Joseph Bapua, who produced the jet fuel. This jet fuel was unique. We produced this jet fuel from microalgae oil. What was unique about this? It's the first time that jet fuel was produced by microalgae. And for our NASA colleague, just to note that we are ready for NASA. So if you could talk to us later, we could try and get our algae jet fuel into NASA and try to see how this can be one of the products produced at Mangosuthu University in Umlazi and was able to make international breakthrough. In 2020, we had, when everyone was indoors and away, our scientists were working in the laboratory under the supervision of Dr. Divarsha Naidu, and we produced and found a potential cure for COVID. And this cure, again, is a protein that came from an algae. That's what we are working on at the moment to get this to the next step, where this can be a potential drug for the cure. Some of our research areas, as I've mentioned before, jet fuel, biodiesel, waste to energy, acid mine phytoremediation, drug discovery and nutraceuticals, climate change and conservation, and algae physiology. Now, why microalgae? Why do we need to know and why do we need to produce things from microalgae? Because there is a global market. The market presently for high-value products from microalgae could produce a new farming sector. Some of the products that we can extract from microalgae, for example, astaxanthin. What is the cost of it? It presently costs from $2,500 a kg. That's about 40,000 rands for a kg. Try to pick up anything in the market for 40,000 rands for 1 kg. And this is the value. And we are able to extract this and produce it right here at Mangosuthu University. Other valuable products we can get are beta-carotenes, omega-3s, and just the biomass itself is high value. So the reason why we want to research, build, and form partnerships around this sector is that there is a huge potential for our country. How do we take this technology to a commercial level? What are the stages involved? We start with basic research in the laboratory, and these are our students, our staff. We form the concept, we undertake a lot of research, we prove the concept. And as Dr. Gumeta said, you then form your patent, which is a huge process. We develop the prototypes that are needed. The pilot system, which is a large scale, and then we go on to commercial, the final product, And here, once again, is opportunity for entrepreneurs. We are doing the basic research, but the application lies in commercialization. And this is where we are encouraging our job seekers in South Africa to start a new farming sector. Some of our publications over the years that were produced, for example, our bioprospecting paper was well received internationally, and to show that the credibility of our research here at Mangosuthu University is of international standing, the paper was cited in Nature Scientific Reports. So immediately it proves that the techniques we developed here, the methods we developed here, the research that was done by our staff and students has scientific value throughout the world. Furthermore, our biodiesel research, once again, the methods we used and the techniques was cited in Nature Scientific Reports, the highest publication of the world, which means we have something unique. We have produced something very unique at Umlazi. And at Mangosuthu University, we have shown we have what it takes to get onto the international arena and compete internationally. Biohydrogen is the buzzword in the country, in the world, as the future fuel. In 2013, we published and researched how to produce natural biohydrogen. And we are at the stage right now where we are producing it at a larger scale, and we are sourcing investment to place this technology in a rural area where people grow their own algae, are able to produce diesel, biohydrogen, and other high-value products from this research. So in terms of jet fuel, this was covered by our PhD graduate, Dr. Bapwa, who's also a staff member here, and this made international headlines. We had a unique jet fuel, and NASA and other aeronautics will tell you that the commercial fuel freezes at a certain altitude, and normally around minus 45 degrees Celsius, the commercial fuels will freeze. Therefore, aeroplanes don't go too high. But what we have done was extracted unique oils from these algae and made jet fuel, which only freezes at minus 80 to 100 degrees, which means you could use this for interstellar. Note to NASA, once again. We have fuels to be used internationally. Even if Elon Musk would like to see fuels that can be grown on Mars and used, this is where our research comes in and our technology is applied. Once again, on drug discovery, we have a team that has made breakthrough since the COVID pandemic. We searched and researched, and we found a very unique protein. And this protein showed that it stops the SARS-CoV virus from replicating. It inhibits it. It stops it dead in its tracks. And this has potential now to take us to drug formulation and produce a future possible vaccine that could help us in the long term. On the next area of our research is on climate change. We include the environment in all research that we do. We have collaborative work. Our research was published in the Daily News some time ago, where we produced algae panels that can be fitted onto homes, where you are receiving fresh oxygen and it removes carbon dioxide from the homes. And this was presented at the architectural conference by Mr. Trevor Govender, and it was then picked up and reported in the Daily News. Together with the Austrian partnerships, we have estuarine research that is still ongoing, and we have partners in many sectors of the country that are involved in the climate change research. So this brings me to the end of my quick overview, a quick snapshot, and I deliberately left the pure science out of this because of our learners. I felt that you should be inspired to know what we do at MUT. And our funding partners and partnerships are far and wide, from the international universities, Charles universities, to our local sister universities, DUT and UKZN. We have a wide partnership. And with their support, we were able to secure funding to undertake the work we have done. And no lab runs alone. No lab is done by one scientist. And all that we have accomplished at MUT was because of a team. And this team, I'm very proud to announce that we're instrumental in working with producing the breakthroughs that we had, and are continuing to work together to produce and to attract more scientists. And we hope that some of our learners would join us one day here at MUT and continue our research and the breakthrough sciences. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for this opportunity and for a short snapshot of what we do here at Mangosuthu and the research we have undertaken. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Professor Akashan and Ranch. I have to say and confess, and I suspect my DSI colleagues will agree with me, that we have an insight about the research capability here that we didn't have before we came here. So that's one of the objectives of having this Science Week, and we move around in the country and we ask the host institutions to share a little bit of what they do, because it gives us, as a policy department, insights of what's happening. And of course, I hope Dr. Nelomondo, Sisi here, Dr. Lottering are getting a sense of the amount of work that we have to do to make sure that we support what is called historically disadvantaged institution. My sense is that with the work that you're doing, we shouldn't call you a historically disadvantaged institution, because it's really world-class research. So congratulations to the university. And I hope with this presentation by Professor Akash and the presentation by Dr. Njabulo Kumede, the young in South Africa and what's possible in Mlazi, finish your matric, go to university. MUT is one of those, and you can have the world at your hands. So we hope you are also encouraged by what you've had. But I also think that the political leadership as well, both in the province and of course ourselves nationally, see the need to support these historically disadvantaged institutions, because they are just like any other university, whether it's UCT, UKZN, and others. So that's my take-home message today, and then this allows me then to invite Mr. Nhlanhla Ngidi, the advisor of the Premier, to come forward and give the vote of thanks. A round of applause for Mr. Ngidi.
Thank you, Program Director. One thing I always like about giving a vote of thanks is that after the vote of thanks, we'll all be interacting with a very important scientific product called food. My task here is simply to say thank you. And because I have a Christian background, I am reminded of the story where Jesus cured 10 lepers, and only one came back to say thank you. Now I'm that one leper on your behalf to say thank you. Would like to say thank you to the speakers today, Dr. Mthembu, who also happens to be my brother-in-law. Yeah, itiye ilikhona yonke indawo. Would like to thank Dr. Njabulo Joyful Gumete for his research, and we wish him well as he continues to educate us on some of these complex subjects, some of which affect our health. Would like to thank Professor Akash Anadraj for the milestone and cutting edge work that they are doing in Mangosuthu. And I would like to concur with the program director that after listening to the speakers who are here in Mangosuthu, a lot of, I was introduced to a new world, which is Mangosuthu University of Technology. And I think it is important that we from department, be it at a political level or at a administrative level, we find ways of closely partnering with the institution, particularly an institution such as Mangosuthu University of Technology, and ensure that the work that they do does not only end within the corners of this campus, but the work that they do should reach out to communities, because it is supposed to assist in many aspects the communities out there. And I think together, the institution and government, we should find ways of how we ensure that the work, the knowledge that they have, the work that they do, does reach out to the communities and does benefit them, to ensure that it improves the quality of life of communities. I would like to also thank Nogwazi Mpele, the learner from Ngelosi. I thought she was a real angel. Not only does she come from a school named after angels, but she is an angel herself. Though, when she was reciting what she learned in the program of coding and robotics, I felt a little bit ancient. But as I felt ancient, I was also filled with hope that as we exceed this stage, some of us who are a bit mature, we leave the stage satisfied that the future of our country is in good hands, because Nogwazi, with her knowledge, will ensure that it is. So a special thanks to her and congratulations for a presentation well done. I don't think at the age of 12 I could do a presentation as she did today. In fact, even at my age, I don't think I can speak better than her. Special thanks to our friends from Kenya. We appreciate their presence, we appreciate their partnership. Kenya has a lot to teach us as South Africans. So when they are around, we feel comfortable and we are sure that as they interact with us, they will leave us better people than before. I also want to thank all the learners who attended here, and I hope that the information that they got today, they will share it with their peers, but more than that, they will internalize it themselves, because by so doing, it will make them better people. Finally, Program Director, now before I say finally, let me give a special thanks to Mangosuthu University of Technology for hosting this important event. Not only have they been good hosts, but they have exposed quite a lot that we did not know about what they do. Some of us are privileged in that we have very close relatives working here. My wife works here, I had to say that. So we do know that there are important things that are happening within Mangosuthu University of Technology. But I think today's event exposed even more than we know, and I've come to appreciate the institution even more, and I will do all I can to ensure that the partnership between the Office of the Premier and Mangosuthu University of Technology is strengthened to the benefit of KwaZulu-Natal. Finally, let us thank the Program Director for having conducted this meeting efficiently. He was saying that there were some glitches, but we did not see any glitches. Everything went smoothly. So 3 cheers to the Program Director. It will be remiss of me if I don't appreciate and give a big thank you to the Minister, Dr. Blade Nzimande. Were it not for his visionary leadership of the department, we would not be here today. We wish him well. Some of us know what has made it impossible for him to come here, and we wish him well even there where he is. We hope that this is just a taste of better things to come. For now, for today, we say thank you very much.
Thanks very much. One last announcement. We are requesting the VIPs, I'm told they are sitting in the front, to go through this door and they will be ushered into where they will get some drinks. The learners to stay here. They will be provided with something to eat, and then the guests and the exhibitors at the back of the hall. So as we then conclude, the choir, whom I think we should also, Dr. Ngidi, thank for warming our hearts very, very much. I hope I can join the choir. In my younger days, I used to sing, so with what I've heard in the music, I'm almost certain I will join you. So they will usher us out. Ma'am, you do that. And as they sing, and then I will ask the VIPs to lead. That's the last you'll hear of my voice. Thank you very much.